Hi, welcome along to Bible Reviews and More. My name is Jeff. This is an interesting companion to the Bible, the Essential Bible Companion. And it's by John H. Walton, Mark L. Struss, and Ted Cooper Jr. And they're their qualifications. John H. Walton, PhD, teaches Old Testament at Wheaton Graduate School and College, and is the author of several books on the Old Testament. Mark Strauss, PhD, Professor of New Testament at Bethel Seminary in San Diego, and a member of the Committee of the Bible Translation, has written or contributed to numerous books and articles on the New Testament. And Ted Cooper Jr. created the Bible in 90 Days program. And this could be a good companion to that book, The Bible in 90 Days. So it's by Zondervan, and it is a really good companion to the Bible. There's a preface there about familiarity with the Bible, and they say that that's been largely lost to the church for the most part. They say that they believe this is true because a lot of people don't have time to read it, and when they do, they simply don't know what to do with it. And so this is actually simplified the Bible in understanding what the books are about. Of course, you need to go into the Bible itself and read it, but this will give you a good overview of each book in the Bible. Now, of course, if you've got a good study Bible, that would also give you a good overview before you start each book in the Bible. But this is very, very clearly and plainly set out because it has graphics there in front of you. It has the key terms, for instance, Genesis, the key terms there, the fall, you can see there, the flood, and the explanation of the flood there, God's judgment on the world due to the lawlessness and violence of humanity, the Tower of Babel, the patriarchs, birthright, Yahweh, the covenant. So they're the key terms in Genesis. The key concepts here, the covenant is God's program of revelation. The focus of creation is the establishment and maintenance of order and operation. And the stories in the Bible are stories about God. If you look down here, there's key teachings about God that you'll find in Genesis. So God established and maintains order in the cosmos. God overcomes obstacles to carry out his purposes. God reveals himself to his people, and God's grace exceeds all logic. People to know, important people to know in Genesis. And there's a list there including Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel, Noah, Abraham, Sarah, Melchizedek, Ishmael, Isaac, Rebekah, Esau, Jacob, Laban, Leah, Rachel, Judah, Joseph. And it goes into the purpose of Genesis here as well. So there's a big reading there, or not a big reading, but there's a reading there on the purpose of Genesis. And Genesis, of course, traces the blessing and the genealogy recorded in Genesis chapter 1. And the genealogy showing people being fruitful and multiplying. And at the same time, the chapters tell about the advance of sin, first in the disobedience of Adam and Eve, then in Cain's murder of his brother Abel, and finally in the escalation of violence and corruption that results in the flood. Then after the flood, the people not only continue their movement away from God, but make a vain attempt to re-establish his presence by building a stairway for him, which is the Tower of Babel. And it goes on with more problems, or it goes on with blessings, the Abrahamic covenant as well. And the blessings of that covenant, but there are still obstacles that are in front of God's people. Exodus, so that talks about God delivering people from Israel from slavery in Egypt and bringing them into the land that God promised them. So the key terms here. There's even a timeline. I forgot to mention that on the previous page, but you can see the timeline there. There's some of the pharaohs in here where Moses was born, the Exodus, and it gives perhaps some of the pharaohs from the time of the Exodus, including Amenhotep II, has been suggested as perhaps the pharaoh of the Exodus. Some may disagree with that. And the purpose there as well. If we go to the Gospel of John, just a description there, you can see the key themes there. Jesus as the Son of God, the miracles, spiritual symbols and metaphors. There's the gospel of the eternal Son of God there. You can see a breakdown of the signs and the wonders there, the events in the book of glory. And the purpose where John writes to call his readers to faith in Jesus Christ, the Son of God. And John in chapter 20 provides a clear statement of purpose that Jesus did many other miraculous signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not recorded in this book. But these are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. So there's just a drawing there of Jerusalem in Jesus' day. Romans. So interesting facts about Romans there. Paul's plan to visit Rome on his way to Spain was changed by his arrest in Jerusalem. As a prisoner, though, he eventually got to Rome and preached the gospel there in Acts. And Paul may have gone to Spain after his release, but this is uncertain since Acts ends with Paul still in prison. You see a bit of a timeline there. The resurrection of Jesus. There's the church founded at Rome, conversion of Paul, bit of a question mark there, but around 35, Paul's first visit to Jerusalem, and goes into some of the rulers at that time, Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, Nero here, 54 to 68 AD. Vespasian there, 69 to 79. And you can see the first missionary journey, the Council of Jerusalem, second missionary journey, the first imprisonment in Rome, the martyrdom of Paul, 67, bit of a question mark there. You can see the purpose there, and I love this, how it starts here. Magnum opus is Latin for great work, and it's a phrase used to describe the finest writing produced by an author. If Paul has a magnum opus, it is Romans, his articulate and systematic presentation of the gospel. The letter to the Romans has had a profound effect on human history, influencing such Christian luminaries as St. Augustine, Martin Luther, William Tyndale, John Wesley, and John Bunyan. Luther's study of the book sparked the Protestant Reformation, changing the course of Christianity and the history of the world. And it goes on, but it talks about when Paul wrote the letter, the beginning of Romans, about Paul stating his desire to visit the church in Rome and so on. So it's full of information there, and it gives you a really good overview before you start reading Romans, for instance, or other books within the Bible. There's 1 Corinthians. You can see a view of the ancient site of Corinth there. So there's the key theme there, divisions in the church. Interesting facts about 1 Corinthians. There's a bit of a timeline there that you can run along there and just have a look at some of the events along that timeline. I find these timelines are very helpful, and the purpose of the letter to the Corinthians in 1 Corinthians there. And it goes on to explain who was Paul as well. Well, you had information when we looked at Romans, but there's some further information on the author of 1 Corinthians, Paul. 2 Corinthians, timeline about the author, the recipients of 2 Corinthians, the church at Corinth, obviously, about the city of Corinth, and the purpose as well. There's a summary overview right there on top of that. So, full of colour, full of information. There's a glossary there of names if you want to look further into some of the names there. Tiberius Caesar, for instance. It'll give a brief explanation of who Tiberius Caesar was, the Roman emperor during the period of Jesus' public ministry. He ruled AD 14 to 37. So there's a fairly good glossary of terms there and names. There's an index there on some of those names in there as well. So there we are. I hope you found that interesting. It's very simple. It clearly outlines each book of the Bible, the essential Bible companion. And it says here, this essential Bible companion gives you what it promises, the essentials, the most vital, absolute, indispensable information you need for reading and truly understanding God's Word, developed by 2 world-class Bible scholars and the creator of the Bible in 90 Days curriculum. This unique, easy-to-use reference guide gives you clear, crisp insights into the Bible, book by book, and it strikes a really good balance as well. So the book is by Zondervan, and you can find that at most really good Christian bookstores. I got this from Curong here in Brisbane. You can order this online as well, no doubt. So I hope you find that helpful. Just another study tool that could be useful to you. Consider that one. If you want things simplified, if you're finding it a bit confusing or overwhelming, this could actually simplify the Bible for you and give you a really good oversight before you start reading the books of the Bible. And I love these archaeological finds that they have sprinkled through this as well. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe and click the bell icon. I'll be back with another review on some other Bible resources or Christian resources you may be able to use in your Bible study. All blessings to you. I'll be back again soon with another video. Bye for now.